Hello YouTube, it is Lucid Alvar here today with another video, and today's video was suggested by Wild Moth WMW, and today we're going to be talking about Deadcat and also Cannibals. It's going to be a Deadcat and Cannibal lore type of video, mainly because, he did ask for a Deadcat video, but, if we're going to talk about Deadcat, there's a lot of other things that we need to kind of talk about that it is part of the Deadcat story, which is the Cannibals, which I just figured we can loop it all together and do it. But without further ado, let's get into this video. Alright, so to start off, cannibals have been around since the first empire fell. Although no one knows why all of a sudden they did turn into cannibals, there's one main theory that I do follow that is the most possible. And it's just, there was just no more food, and the place was deeply changed by the events of obedience. Now, in case you guys don't know, I did cover obedience in a couple videos ago. And pretty much what happened at Obedience was, there was these behemoth skeletons that, were very, very loyal to humans. And the place Obedience might seem a little eerie and like there's things coming out of the water, because there is. That's where they sent all these behemoths to go die. And when they did do that, I think it really did change the kind of, the entire geology of the entire, or like even biology too of the entire planet. Or the entire moon, which kind of destroyed a lot of ecosystems and could have really led to a huge famine. And just remember too, is that this is when the skeletons rebelled, because they saw what happened to the, to the behemoths, and they're like, well, we're probably going to get next. A little bit of that McCarthyism, if anybody gets that reference. But, they really thought that, so they decided to rebel against the humans, and the first empire just completely buckled, and it fell apart. Now, the cannibals weren't, really there. Nobody really noticed them until kind of post, First Empire, kind of like a little bit deep into like post First Empire, I would say, is when people started noticing them, because there was said to be a huge famine. Now, in case you guys don't know, a huge famine would only be possible because the entire ecosystem changed. A lot of places that used to be super rich in soil kind of died because of the entire obedience thing. And, it's not that far-fetched to say that the place where, all these cannibals were, they were actually living there, and the terrain used to be different. It probably was. It was probably a lot more fertile. It was probably a lot more arid, they could probably grow a lot of crops there, but now they couldn't. So now this causes a huge problem where, a lot of people were dying, which in turn meant nobody was even farming anymore, which killed even more people. And you can see that this is a non-ending cycle. This ended up killing a lot of people, and I think the survivors just said, fuck it, we're gonna have to pretty much eat other human beings. Which, in fact, if you actually do go into history, you can see cases like this happening in historical events. So it's actually not that far-fetched that the cannibal hunters could be experiencing this. Now, a lot of people will say, well, they're a different race, so they can't be Greenlanders. Which I will refute that by saying that their bodies could have just adapted over all this time. I mean, we have to really think about it. It's been probably about 15,000 years since the fall of the First Empire. So it's been a long time, long time, So there's enough time there for, some type of adaptations to happen, because they are just, they can eat humans, but they're also resistant to acid, which, I mean, it kind of could go hand in hand with the terrain that they live in, and also eating humans. I mean, if you eat someone's stomach, there's a lot of stomach acid in there that can really kill you and hurt you. So there is that. But, that pretty much is how cannibalism became around. But now you're asking, why is there a village just out there? So Deadcat is actually a fishing village that, used to be big. They used to have a lot more settlements. It is said that their capital was in the middle of the Cannibal Plain. So, you can really just take that as it being where the cannibal capital is. And and the settlements around there was really probably where the, these people were settled and, had their entire area. But I don't know where the cannibals grew in size to take over the city and banish the Deadcat villagers. I mean, nobody really has a handle on the time it could have taken place, or we could kind of make an estimate of Second Empire-ish. I mean, these guys weren't really thought as a threat for a while. So it's not that out of there to say that, maybe during the Second Empire, a lot of this was happening, because, or maybe it could have been before, but it's just really hard to put a date on it, if you guys get what I'm saying, because there's just no information on that. But now probably you guys are asking, what happened to the villagers of Deadcat then? So, Deadcat is actually the village that, we're making this video on, but they did used to control all this land. Now, going back to, them, taking over the city, I don't think anybody was really expecting the cannibals to grow in size. I think they just thought the cannibals were weak pushovers. I mean, you see them. You can go fight some starving cannibals, and you can easily push them around and beat them up and use them as, training people to pretty much train your guys up with. And you could see why, these people thought, oh, they can't do any harm. But then you get the stronger cannibals that are actually not weak and they can actually fight. And I think with the rise of all these cannibals and the rise of, them getting stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger, you have, a whole entire army that ended up being risen by the cannibal wizard himself. And, he ended up taking over the entire capital and ended up taking over everything there. And, that kind of is a simplified version. I mean, I wish there was more information I could tell you guys on that, but that really is just the simplified version. Also, oversimplified, woo! If anybody caught that reference. But you might be asking, what happened to the villagers of Deadcat then? So going back to that question, right? Sorry we got a little bit on a tangent here, but going back to the question, well, first, they could have gone to the Holy Nation. So anybody that, was a survivor or refugee of this, that was a human, they could have gone to the Holy Nation and, been accepted into their society, mainly if they were male, because Holy Nation is kind of a sexist place. So, if they were male, they would be welcomed. I mean, if they were female, they would probably need a male to come with them because they don't want to be, treated as slaves or sent to rebirth or something like that, So, some of them actually did make the fishing village in the northwestern side of World's End that you can actually go and visit. And you can go kind of talk to them. And, they'll say, things weren't always like this type of thing, little references, I guess. And you could really just talk to them there. And then, the rest could have been founders of the new faction called the Cannibal Hunters that we can hire for a limited amount of time. And, I mean, that isn't that far-fetched to say because these guys have been fighting with these guys for probably years and years and years now. And they're probably the best equipped to handle them, so that's why they call themselves Cannibal Hunters. Probably it is a better way to get business too. Kenshi is in need of mercenaries, so that probably works too. Finally, the last couple could have gone to World's End and become tech hunters and just join the machinists and the tech hunters and start a new life as the tech hunters. But honestly, Deadcat is just one of those stories that is always going to be a mystery until we get more information. Hopefully in the prequel to Kenshi and Kenshi 2, where we go back towards right at the fall of Second Empire, we can probably get a little bit more insight. I mean, I don't know if we probably would, but hopefully we do. Anyways, hopefully you guys did enjoy. Remember to leave a like and subscribe. Don't forget that I also do have a Discord that's linked in the description below. So hopefully if you guys do want to join and, talk to me about Kenshi lore, you guys can. But without further ado, peace.